2 years ago in 2020, Ubisoft released a trailer confirming development of a remake of one of their classic games. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time was a 2003 action-adventure game based on the popular Prince of Persia IP created by Jordan Mechner. Prince of Persia is an interesting IP because we haven't had a AAA venture into that world since 2010. There has not been a Prince of Persia game since 2010's The Forgotten Sands, and there is a pretty die-hard community for the Prince of Persia games. And so when leaks and rumors started emerging regarding a Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, fans were very much excited. However, when the trailer was released, there was a pretty heavy amount of division as the graphics were fairly controversial. They definitely were an improvement and step up from the 2003 game. They have added motion capture for voice actors. Yuri Lowenthal returned to voice the prince as he did all those years ago. And while the art style for Prince of Persia games has always leaned more on the cartoony side, there was a pretty heavy argument that this remake looked more like an Xbox 360 PS3 era remake as opposed to an Xbox One PS4 remake. And in response to the backlash and perhaps some performance issues that we were unaware of, Ubisoft actually pushed back the release of this game into 2021. And then that release date started looming near and Ubisoft delayed the game indefinitely. And so now here we are nearing the end of 2022. Again, it has been 2 years and we still have not really heard much of an update on this game other than it actually switched studios. The remake is now in the hands of Ubisoft Montreal. They were actually the original developers of the 2003 game, so I do think that it's interesting that it ended up back there. The original team working on the game was commended for their work, but I don't know that they were necessarily ready for the project. From what I understand, the original studio working on this game was more of a supplemental studio for Ubisoft. They work on supplemental work for bigger games from bigger studios, and so this was a very big asking price of them for really never having shipped a game by themselves. But it is now with Ubisoft Montreal. But again, we have just been waiting and wondering when this game could potentially get a release. We did hear rumors that they were not targeting a 2023 release. And so ultimately, the state of this game was left in pretty heavy question. People didn't know at all if this game was even ever going to see the light of day or if it was just being taken to Ubisoft Montreal to be quietly canceled. But it sounds like that's not the case. It sounds, from the very limited communication that we've received, that development is actually going fairly smoothly. And now with some recent information that has come to light, we may actually be seeing an update for this game sooner rather than later. So on the PlayStation Network, it has been discovered that there are trophies available to view for Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time Remake. And we also know that Ubisoft Forward is occurring in September this year, where they will be showing Assassin's Creed and I'm sure many of their other flagship IPs and just the direction that Ubisoft is going. And it would be the perfect time to let people remember that a remake for Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time is happening. It would be a great time to show off some of the progress, some of the graphical enhancements, and potentially a release window for the game, because this is a remake that people were very excited for. They've also recently announced that there will be a Splinter Cell remake, so for all we know, we could be seeing that as well. I don't want to jump the gun too much, and I haven't heard anything in regards to either of these showing up, but the Prince of Persia Sands of Time Remake trophies appearing on the PlayStation Network is very coincidental timing for how soon that Ubisoft Forward conference will be happening. Now, one final point that I wanted to hit in this video, because I know that that's a fairly short topic, is should you care about Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time Remake? Is this game going to be for you if you never played the original? Now, as someone who has played many of the Prince of Persia games, I say yes. I still think Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time is by far the best one. I like the other ones as well, but there's just something so special and nostalgic about the Sands of Time, and it is a really interesting one to revisit as it's very much a precursor to the Uncharted games. It relies heavily on awesome set pieces, parkour mechanics to navigate the castle that you're trying to get through, a basic but compelling story with very likable characters. And it was one of those first games that I remember playing through and thinking, wow, video games are a great medium for storytelling. And so while it isn't necessarily as refined or polished of a story as we're used to seeing from Naughty Dog games, for example, it is a really great precursor with some fantastic challenges, some really fun parkour mechanics, arguably still some of the best around. I really enjoy it. I think that the platforming is great. Again, I think the story's fun. The combat is basic but fun, and I think that that's maybe the best way to describe what the game is and probably will be in the remake. It's not anything complicated. It's not anything that you haven't seen before, but it's fun and it's compelling and it has those likable characters and it's an IP with a lot of potential. And so I say, yeah, definitely support it. I'm sure that they've made massive upgrades to it since we last saw it. And I think that this is an IP with a lot of potential. It could be Ubisoft's Uncharted if they wanted it to be. So yeah, absolutely show it your support if you're interested in that kind of thing. But anyways, thanks you guys so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments below if you've played Prince of Persia, if you plan on playing the remake, what you're hoping to see if they do reveal it at Ubisoft Forward. Thank you guys again so much for all your support. We'll see you guys in the next one.